Welcome to your conscious community with lifelong friends who are twinning in both energy as healers, as psychic mediums, as tarot intuitives, and life coaches. We are here to normalize spirituality. My name is Amy Dascola.
And I'm Dara, Jewett.
And we are the Soul Tribes.
Hi, Bella. How are you this week?
I'm good, Bea. How are you?
I'm blessed. Love to be with you always. Your energy is so radiant and just fills me up. And so happy to vibe out with our community tonight. I hope all of you out there are really feeling this amazing energy pumping through the universe. This year really is about focusing on and your intuition. So, which kind of really brings us around to this week's modality. So this week, we're super excited to talk to you about something that is very dear to both Amy and myself. We are talking about psychic mediumship. So not everyone knows exactly what psychic mediumship really is or what they're really doing. I mean, pretty much everyone's heard of a psychic before. You think of the crystal ball, you think of, all the bracelets and everything, but they're kind of like, what on earth is all of this? But what basically a psychic medium does is they're tuning into the energy of people and objects and even places. And so there's energy, of course. Everything in the universe is created of energy, and energy is never created nor destroyed. It's only transferred. And everything, light energy, sound energy, thought energy, all vibrates on different frequencies. And so a psychic medium is tuning into certain frequencies naturally that possibly you are not able to do as of yet. But with study, I do believe that everybody can enhance their own psychic abilities. And basically, they're really relying on the presence of the non-physical energy outside of themselves for information that is relevant to the person that we're reading. So we're really taking cues from spirit energies, different possible loved ones that may have crossed over. We're even taking cues from different objects that may have been attached to the person. So say, your grandmother wore a bracelet all the time or a ring all the time. And then we hold that ring, like we basically feel like grandmother's sitting right in front of us and she's literally communicating right through us through that ring or that object, because it really does hold energy. So there's different types of psychic abilities. And I'm sure you've heard the term called telepathy. And so telepathy. And so basically there's the clairs. And so there's different forms of telepathy or being able to read. So the first one is clairaudience. So this is hearing spirit. Literally, some people will sit there and they'll be quiet and all of a sudden they'll hear whisper, or you'll hear their name, or you might be driving down the street and all of a sudden like something comes to you and you're like, who's talking to me? Or it could even be a song that just comes into your head and it's like, why on earth? Like, what is this coming from? That could be a message from spirit trying to communicate with you about something. And that's clairaudient. Then we're going to go to clairvoyance. Now what this is seeing spirit. And so you can actually physically see an outline of something. You can sometimes just see aura. You can sometimes see the spirit so clearly as if it's another human, and you actually don't even know that it's spirit until you realize that somebody else can't see them. And then there's also different entities that can come through as well with clairvoyance. So clairvoyance is really seeing these energies. Then claircognizance. This is a lot of psychics go to because it's really about just that knowing. It's like, I don't know how I know what I know, but I'm trusting that what I'm knowing is truth, and I'm going to relay that. And then our clients are like, oh my God, how did you know? And you're just like, because you just know. And so basically spirit is embedding this energy into you, and you just have this knowledge of knowing. And it's not coming from you, it's coming from somewhere. And it really is very, very powerful. Then, of course, clairsentient, which is the sense of feeling. So sometimes you'll even feel the tingle on the back of your neck, the goosebumps, or a cold chill. Sometimes even in the room, you'll feel different waves coming through. And this is really clairsentient. It's just the feeling of spirit, the feeling of energy. Now, of course, we're going to go into two that are a little bit less familiar to a lot of people. Clairalience, which is really smelling. And so sometimes someone will say, oh my God, I smelled his cologne, or I smelled my mother's cooking. How can I smell my mother's cooking? And it's spirit literally channeling their energy through the sense of smell to you. So this is actually a really powerful way. If you tend to feel these types of things and you can smell things all of a sudden, this would be a way for you to enhance your psychic gifts, is to utilize the form that is most natural to you. And now we're going to the last one, clairgustance, which is really the feeling of tasting. And so some people will actually say, all of a sudden I'm tasting my mother's food, or they might taste an apple, but the tastes very savory. Should taste, it tastes very different. So this can also be a form of psychic ability, because through taste, some people, that's how they really communicate with spirit, and that's how they receive message. So all of these different forms are there for you to be able to tap into and to utilize, so you can gain more psychic ability. So let's ask Miss Amy, as we all know she's a very talented psychic medium. Amy, what are some of the forms of telepathy that you use, and has it changed over time?
Yes. So I think it's very interesting. And we were just speaking on this with a couple mediums, talking about how, first of all, everyone tunes in differently, how your abilities can actually transcend or ebb and flow. And you can even have different things come in at different parts in your life, and especially different parts of your awakening, kind of how it's gauged. So as a child, I started, probably the first way I tuned in was clairaudience. And I would hear things at night in my room, you know, like as every child, you think there's monsters, this. Well, instead, I started noticing that there were fairies in certain places in my closet. And so I was very blessed to have a mother who's very open. And she said, and kind of explained to me, oh, you see that? And I said, yes. And she said, oh, and you hear that? And I said, yes. And so she explained to me that it was a different type of energy, and I was able to tune into it, and it was nothing to be scared of. And if I was scared and didn't want that energy, all I had to do was tell my guardian angels, I do not want that. So fast forward a couple years, and I started sensing and feeling energies when I was around 11 and started to go through a spiritual awakening. I did start attracting or feeling some heavier energies that I was not comfortable with. So I did ask my guardian angels and spirit guides and said, I do not welcome this into my experience, so please put it aside. So I did. Then the first time I really had a broad clairvoyant experience, I was probably 13-ish, and I was in St. Augustine, Florida on vacation with my family. And
Which, for any of you that don't know, St. Augustine is the first city that actually the settlers came into. So there's a lot of energy there. I just want to put that out there.
A lot
of energy. Yeah.
It's where supposedly the Fountain of Youth is, with Ponce de Leon. Yes. But the place I was going past, and I can still see it as plain as day, I looked to my left and I saw a slave market, and I felt it, and I saw them, in families, and I saw them all waiting and being like auctioned off. And I like burst into tears, and my mom looks at me and she says, are you okay? I said, Mom, oh my God. Cause I knew it wasn't current time, but I knew also it was time. And that's when I realized that energy has no time, that energy is always flowing, and that energy has no parameters if you are able to tap into it. So that was the first time that I was really able to see something and know exactly this is real. Okay, so it validated me. And then we did ask about the property later, and it's now currently like a hotel, but it was a slave market. So again, validated. Then fast forward into my second awakening. And my second awakening happened. I had this very dear friend, and at a time he was actually a boyfriend. And I was going home to Minneapolis for the summer to visit my mom and friends, whatever. I was teaching in Tampa, and he was supposed to pick me up at the airport. And I got a call 2 nights before saying that he had died in his sleep. And obviously I was devastated. So I did end up going home, unfortunately, for his funeral, not for, and ironically, it was the same flight, the same day. Everything was perfectly planned. And as I like to always think, timing is always divine, and everything happens exactly as it should. Granted, that was not something I wanted to happen, but it was very interesting to me that I took the exact same flight, the exact same time, and landed in a completely different spot than I expected. And through this spot, I was so depressed and so upset and just heartbroken for so long that I literally just walked around the earth asking for signs to see him, asking to connect, saying, I know I have this gift, so why can't I connect with you? What is this? This is like torture. And he knew I had the gift. So it was like even more like, I know he can connect with me. He knows what I have. So eventually he did start coming through, and he started coming through music. He started, and I have chills right now, even speaking on it. He started coming through to me, and actually through gifts, like physical gifts. I was really, really mourning him, and went to like a little festival, a craft festival. And he always had a thing with the ocean and the water. And my eyes were drawn to like this beautiful rose quartz turtle. And I knew it was him. And so I bought it and I wore it, and I felt like so healed. And as we know, rose quartz also helps to heal the heart chakra. So it was little things like that when I realized there is more, and there is alternate ways to communicate with our past loved ones. And then fast forward, I was a teacher, a special education teacher, and I realized that I was healing. I wasn't just teaching kids, I was there to heal. And I had been given years and years before an Akashic record reading, and was told I was a lifelong healer, and told not only lifelong, but generational throughout my lives and past lives. So I was trying to get clear on what is this healing that I'm supposed to be giving to others. And I just assumed it was the teaching. But then I realized there's something else. And people were starting to show up throughout my life as little check-ins and little spiritual mentors, I guess you could say. And then I started realizing the power of manifesting, and I realized the power of the law of attraction. I had always listened to Esther and Jerry Hicks, and I loved Abraham Hicks because it was a channel. This was before like The Secret came out, and I would listen to like the little CDs in my car as I would drive. And I was like, wow, I feel like that's something maybe I could do, but I'm not sure. Then I started to realize that I was manifesting all the points in my life that I needed. So I manifested my husband. I manifested my daughter. I manifested, once I had my daughter, I realized there was no room for me to teach and have the amount of energy for my daughter and for my students as the empath that I was. I literally wouldn't have room to do it all. So I put out to the universe and said, listen, I want a job that I can function in my home, work in my home, and be with my Sophia. Hand to God, I knew that that would be fulfilled if I put it out there, just like I was fulfilled with the husband, just like I was fulfilled with my daughter when I finally put the intention forth and was specific and explicit of what I wanted. Then I knew something was coming in. I wasn't sure what it was, but I knew I was always that person growing up throughout 20s, 30s, whatever, that people would come to for advice, and people would love to sit with me and just, talk to me and see what I was, going to give back. So I started kind of tapping in through writing, and I realized I was doing more than just tapping in. I realized I was channeling, and it wasn't something I just thought, oh, I write poetry, or, oh, I just am able to tune in differently, or, oh, I like to meditate, this. Then fast forward, I have such anxiousness from all sorts of extraneous things that I almost snap. And when I snap, I landed somewhere that I had never been before. And where I landed was somewhere of clarity, somewhere with a gift that I was able to hear and communicate spirits, and communicate spirit guides, and communicate that I was able to tap into people's soul levels. And it was a whole different game, because I was now able to land in people, if you will. I was able to see where people were. Some call it a remote viewing. I was able to, when I realized I was able to give readings, I started giving readings to people and telling them the things that they were thinking in their head, telling them the things that someone had said to them, telling them the things that they needed to hear and needed validated by someone outside of their head. So the fact that I was doing that, I realized now my claircognizant and clairsentient was what it was. And it had transformed into this beautiful gift that now was helping to heal people. So tapping in, as I said, it ebbs and flows. You have different abilities throughout your life. You have different ways that resonate with you. And I know Dara has a lot of these experiences as well. What were your experiences throughout, childhood, etc.? What were your moments, if you will?
Well, as a child, it was pretty much clairvoyant. So pretty much seeing. I didn't quite understand what it all was. But when I was probably around the age of 2, 3 was the first time I saw a friend playing in the woods, and I would go play with her like daily and started talking about her to my family eventually. And everyone instantly said, "You have such a wild imagination." And at night, I would be laying in bed, and I was insomniac. I could not sleep for anything my whole life. And spirit just would come through a lot at night. And again, I would see, and it wasn't at night, it wasn't actually spirit. It was more like, I don't want to call them, because they weren't all demons, but they were like different entities. So these did not look like humans. So like the little girl looked like a human. These other ones did not look like humans. I don't even know how to describe some of them. Some of them, it's almost like a black energy. Sometimes it's almost like this smoke. Sometimes it takes on a shape, but it's not like, it's like more transparent. It's very weird. And it's something that is not of earth. So it's harder to describe what these beings look like. But I just really knew that there was so much more than what we were all perceiving. And I also found out real quick that not everyone else saw what I saw. So I think, as I spoke before, I learned to be quiet very quickly. And I would do certain things because I couldn't help myself, but I did it all in secret. So I remember, I think I was in like kindergarten or first grade, and I'm at my girlfriend's birthday party. And literally I have all the girls, at probably like 9 girls, doing light as a feather, stiff as a board at this birthday party. And like, if anyone hasn't heard of it, it's basically kind of like a ritual chanting where you take 2 fingers and you put it under the person that's laying in the middle, and you just keep saying light as a feather, stiff as a board, and you go into this, it's just, you go into this zone. And then all of a sudden, after maybe about 5 minutes or so, you literally just go like this, and you can lift up the person. The person like literally starts floating in front of you, because you're literally taking your fingers and just like lifting them up, and you lift them up above your head. So all of a sudden we're in kindergarten and we have this person floating in the air above us. Like all my friends thought it was, because two of my girlfriends knew that I did it because I had done it with just them before, but my girlfriend wanted us to do it at the birthday party. Well, of course, some of her friends never wanted to talk to me again. After that, they thought it was kind of cool, but then they were just like, who's the crazy witch, you know? And so I learned even more. So I had to just kind of be real careful. Again, had another experience in, I believe it was 5th grade at a, you know, I was doing bloody murder in a school event. We were away for, I know I shouldn't have been doing these things. I couldn't help it though. I was dying for, I need it because there's some things that you need the covet for. There's some things that you need other energies for. So anything I could do on my own, I was. But anytime I was with a group of girls, I was like, do you guys want to help me do this? And I was always looking for, and of course, you know, it became very confusing because people started looking at me very differently. So then I really kind of had to get very specific about my friend circle. So this is the friend circle that I met Amy in, is when I started to filter into that. And so there was literally they weren't all psychic like us, but they were just different and they were just open to what they didn't know. And I remember going to visit like abandoned houses with them. And this one time there was like this asylum in Shakopee, and I swear we drive up, and all of a sudden, clear as day, and I hadn't seen a spirit this clear since I was a child. Clear as day, this woman is walking through the window of the upstairs. And I'm like, oh my God. And Christy actually saw it too. And she was like, oh my God, and started screaming. And like literally we went in, and there were, you know, it was definitely someplace that some things had been going on. But it was really something that really made me remember and really focus on. And that's when I really went crazy with tarot as well. I had already had a deck or two, but I really started to revisit these things. Now move forward, of course, these are all great things, but clairsentient, yes, I do still see spirit when they want to be seen. Sometimes I'll have visions, especially entities will still want, but now is almost more for me the sense of that knowing, which is really the claircognizance. And then I do also have clairsentient, but it's really that knowing, and I really cannot explain it, but I've had several experiences with people on trains, just really weird occurrences that happen to me where they just come up and they start speaking to me in tongues. I had an ex-boyfriend who he kind of believed in what I was saying. Basically, his mom came through to me and asked his unfortunately passed mom. His mom died when he was, I believe, 17 years old. But she came to me and she begged for me to give her son a chance. And I said, okay, I will give him a chance. She goes, he really needs you right now. He just really needs a good woman like you. He needs help. He's spinning. And my ex-boyfriend didn't really believe in that at the time at all. And I gave him, for his birthday, a birthday card that, first of all, I guess he had never received a birthday card since his mom. So that in itself was like really profound, that I can't believe no one else had ever given him his birthday card since his mother. Like that's like 15 plus years. Anyways, but he opens up the card, and inside the envelope is the exact same wallpaper that they had in their house. And he is a tough guy. He was a very tough guy. And he literally takes the card and he goes into the bathroom and he starts bawling, because he realized at that moment that everything I had been saying to him really was true. And now he had physical proof. And so basically that was kind of a huge validation point for me that really said, no, this is something that not only is a gift, but is medicine for people. That people sometimes need to hear these things and they need to share. So that's really, you know, where I focused on now, going into study more. You know, I'm in Bali, spirits are talking to me, they're coming through, you can see them, you can hear them, you can feel them. Like I was literally experiencing, I don't really get the tasting or the smelling senses, but I will sometimes even get like a whisper in my ear or something like that. Or like Amy said, sometimes a song will come through and it will really be very meaningful to like whoever I'm reading. But I've done automatic writing. This definitely helps also. But for me, it's honestly, it's just this knowing. So I'll just open up and I'll sit with spirit and I'll ask whoever wants to come through, and I'll ask, what messages does this person really need to know? And they will just sit there and I'll start writing down whatever they need to know. And when I do the reading, I tell them what spirit has told me first. And sometimes they're just so shocked because they've never told anyone. So they're like, how can you know? I'm like, well, spirit sees everything. So you got to remember, they're watching you. They're in your brain. Everything you're thinking, they know. And sometimes you just need somebody else that's a communicator, like Amy or myself, or we have an amazing guest today. Obviously, you guys know that that's coming up, who can just be that bridge and who can help you to speak to spirit guides, to angels, and to relay messages. And I just want to put this out there, just so you know, if you're thinking about them, if you miss them, they're still loving you. They're still thinking about you. So just speak it to them because they want to hear what you have to say. Your mother that's passed away, your father that's passed away, your grandmother that's passed away, your husband, your wife, they're still there. The energy still loves you. Speak to them and they're waiting for you. So with that being said, it's very exciting today to bring in our new guests.
So I am just so excited to have you guys meet Debbie Squizzero. And I want to say Deb was just like a random connection that I have found through Instagram, through maybe a little bit of Facebook, through a mutual friend, Lindsay Marino. And it was like the minute I met her, I was like, oh my God, I love her so much. Like, I just want to talk to her all the time. I feel like she's just like me. And then all of a sudden, she is just like me. And we all have these wonderful, beautiful connections. And then not only was she, when we kind of met each other, she had come out as a medium, and she was very helpful to me when I was deciding to come out of the closet as a medium. And I remember her saying to me, Amy, just do it. Why not? You know? And I was very much in the why not mentality. So I was so appreciative of having Debbie as an advocate for my mediumship. And we also have a very special bond as teachers, as former special education educators. And she's got her master's degree in special ed. She is highly qualified to teach, and also now is validating this amazing qualification as a medium. And she is an evidential medium. She's able to connect with your loved ones. She also is doing all sorts of amazing work with Earth School. And I want her to kind of speak on that. And she's also going to be speaking on something called soul contracts. So if you haven't heard about these things, Deb is going to use the teacher and medium in her to just educate us and tell us all about it, because it is such an important thing that we all need to know, that we're here for a reason, and that this is a type of school. And this is also something that you decided upon the minute you entered this beautiful earth. So Deb, we are so happy to have you.
Welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, ladies. This is like an honor for me. Oh my goodness, you have beautiful energy. I'm so excited. I'm excited to be here and talk about my passion. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh my God. And speaking about this amazing passion, you guys are going to get introduced to Debbie and literally fall in love with her, because not only is she a psychic, but she's actually extremely kind and incredibly sweet, which of course you know is one of my favorite qualities in any human. So please, Debbie, let everyone know, how did your path lead you to being this remarkable, amazing, phenomenal psychic medium?
Oh my goodness, girls, thank you first for that beautiful introduction. Oh my gosh, thank you. My path started, it's so funny. My theme of my life is nothing is the way I thought it would be. That's the theme of my life, you know? And so when I started, I was like probably about 6 or 7, I would have very vivid dreams, and I still have very vivid dreams. It was very vivid dreams about my deceased loved ones. I would go to sleep at night and I would say to my mom, Mom, close the closet. People come out of my closet. And she'd be like, what are you talking about? And they looked like like a ghost hunter show, kind of for real, kind of people. And they scared me. I didn't know what they were. So now I understand they were beautiful beings of light, beautiful beings, the beautiful souls of love. So I love this comparison of when you're a child, you have your ego. You don't have ego yet. You're not tainted by the world. So you're just full of love. So it's like a moth to a light. You have these loving beings who they're like, look at this light. And they're like, shh, you know? And so what I didn't understand was when I told my mom, close the closet, you know, that they're ethereal. So it doesn't matter whether the door's shut or not. They're coming, I'm coming out, you know, they're coming out. That's it. So I just, and from there, I just, through my teens, and I always felt somebody was with me. I always felt I was guided by a higher power. Somebody was watching me. It was just a feeling I always had combined with these dreams. Then in like my 20s, two things happened. I went to go see this one woman that I would see all the time, and she would do tarot, and she would tell me, Deb, you're good energy. I'm like, I don't know what she means. I'm good energy. Okay. I don't know, whatever that means. And I was too young to ask or not evolved enough to understand what she meant by that. And she read for me, and I was so drawn to, like, she knew things about my life, and like I was just super passionate about, like, I was like, oh, I just love coming here. I could sit here for hours with you. And during that time in my 20s, I noticed my 20s, my 30s, people would come and ask me things or tell me their deepest, darkest secrets. And I'm just like, oh, why do they tell me those things? And they would say, oh, you give me the best advice. And I'm like, oh, I'm just being me and being Deb. And I didn't realize it was channeled from a higher power. It was coming from somewhere else. And I didn't realize that at the time. Then comes my 30s. And I was going through an emotional time in my life. Something was going on. It was big. And the woman who had read for me all in my 20s, she moved. She was like gone. And a woman that I worked with said, she knew I was struggling, and she goes, Deb, you should go see this angel lady, this angel reader. And I was like, oh, all right. I'm so used to, I don't know anything about the angels. And, you know, other than, like, you know, the crucifix that's hanging on my on my wall in my bedroom when I was a kid, and like CCD, and, you know, but, you know, other than that. So I went to this woman, and she said to me, and she was one of many people along my journey who said to me, do you know that you have this like thread, like you could do what I go, I don't know, I've been told that. I said, I get these dreams, you know. And then she said, she goes, do you see things and hear things? And I go, oh, I just talk about that with my mom. I go, that's like not anything we talk about with people. And so she's like, well, listen, you know, and she talked about the angels and this and that. So I left there so overwhelmed, and I contacted her a few days later, and I said, listen, if I really do have this, I want to help people. I truly want to help people if this is truly what I have. So I signed up with her. I studied with her for a long time. I learned so much about the angels. I learned about mediumship. She was my first unfoldment of many beautiful mentors on this path. I've also learned, how did I get here too, that this is part of my, I want to say it's been a very long road for me with mediumship. For as many, I'll say, for as many baby steps that I took forward, I would get to a place and I take like 10 giant steps back. And then I go 2 steps forward. And that's just when we talk about soul contracts later, one of mine is worthiness. And that's what I'm learning through my journey. But that's how it was, through the encouragement of, well, this woman, and then many mentors and people I started reading out of my house for years, for just family and friends, and just like, you know, what do you want to know? What do you want? And they would come to me. And so I finally just decided, I was you know, when you're supposed to do something, Spirit presents you with an opportunity. They presented me with an opportunity to read. One of my friends had, one of my other journeys in life was a weight loss journey. And so she had a gym, and she had a free space. And she said to me, you're going to read here. And I went, no, I'm not. And she said, oh, yes, you are. And at the time I was teaching, and I was doing another job that I really did not like. And so I finally was like, all right, you know what? Even if I do one reading a month, I don't even care, because I love this and I love to help people. So, you know, as Spirit will unfold things for you. So one thing leads to another. So one thing leads to another. I'm all about the songs. I have these beautiful angels and guides that speak to me with music all the time. So one thing just led to another with my unfoldment. And it was like, I started reading for like, then the 2 people a month multiplied to like 4. And then this journey, and then these beautiful people started coming in, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. And so I finally got to a place where Spirit was like, I was doing, for 10 years, I did 2 things. For 10 years, I worked as, I've been teaching for 22 years, but for 10 of those years, I did my mediumship and I did my teaching. And Spirit was kind of giving me these signals of, Deb, you can't keep this pace up. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I can. What are you people talking about? I got this, right? So, when you don't listen, just like anything, like you don't listen, it starts to become more difficult. It becomes more challenging. So I was starting to become run down and fatigued, and I was sick all the time because I would have this crazy life for 10 years where I'd get up at 4:30 in the morning. Then I go to the gym for 5:30. Then I come home, then I get ready. Then I go to work. Then I come home. Then I throw everything off and I go to my office. Then I come home and go to bed. And then we did this up for 10 years. We repeated this. And it started to become more intense, where Spirit was trying to show me that my focus was more spiritual. But again, that fear kicked in of, I can't leave this job. I can't do this, and when you're supposed to learn something, as we know, Spirit comes in and says, listen up, because you're not listening. And so we're just going to take that, that nice little rug you got over there. Well, there you go. It's gone. See you later. And I was like, oh, hello. And they basically, for me, it doesn't have to be hard for everybody, but for me, I always say, I tease and I go, listen, I'm the girl that runs around with the round peg, like jamming it in the square hole all the time. That's me. That's me. Part of that is my stubborn Italianness, and part of that is just Debbie and Deb. I'm not going to listen until I'm good and ready. And that's part of my journey here. So the Spirit basically said to me, okay, so we're going to give you a stress-induced mental and emotional breakdown, and then you're going to listen. And guess what? Oh, Deb listened to that. So it was during that time that it was actually just a year ago, and I had so many, it was meant to transform my life, and it was meant for me to have this enlightenment during this time, because during this time, Spirit said to me, listen, I was written out of work, and both were, I wasn't doing any work. I wasn't doing my schoolwork, and I wasn't doing my spiritual work. It was all about go get yourself better, because I didn't realize it at the time, but they were saying to me, go get yourself better because you got other things to do. And I was just like, oh no, this is too scary for me. But hindsight, it was the best. That breakdown was the best thing that's ever happened to me. And the people that triggered that breakdown, and the circumstances and the situations, because there were different ones. There were work ones, there were personal ones, there were internal ones. It was so multifaceted. And I turn around now a year later and I go, holy moly, that was the best. I needed that. It was the best thing that ever happened to me. I always, I'm usually about the songs, but I'm in the middle of an old movie with Cher, Moonstruck, when she's like, snap out of it, and that's basically what Spirit did to me. They were like, listen, snap out of it. You need to go help people. And so I get that now, but so passionate. I love my life. I never thought in all these years I would say, I love my life. I love my life. I love my life. And I get to meet beautiful people like you on my journey. You girls are just, you feed my soul. You make me happy. I have so many beautiful people that I've just been so blessed to. We support one another and we help one another and we get it and we reach so many people, and there's enough out there for everybody. So many people need help. So that's how I got here. It was a lot of stubbornness on my part.
I love that. And Deb, I mean, it really, I love that you also speak on how the awakening is a beautiful process afterward, but while you're going through it, it is gnarly, it is awful, it is the worst you've ever felt in your life, but then you become clear, right, at the end of it.
Yes.
So that's why, there's a lot of misconceptions about the spiritual awakening or how we end up in these places. It's not sunshine and rainbows. Now it may, have painted this beautiful picture, but thank you for speaking on, all the strength and endurance you had to have to get here. So speaking onto that, like you like to, tell your clients about Earth School. So tell us, what do you view as Earth School?
This is like I'm so passionate. I have to thank you girls, because I'm just so passionate about this subject.
I know you are. I'm so excited to hear you talk about it. Yay.
Everyone wants to know what's my purpose. Debbie, why is it so hard here for me? And sometimes I will sit with the client and I'll understand or get what their soul purpose is here. But here's what I say. So listen, I always like to start and go, so welcome, just welcome, welcome, welcome to Earth School, everybody. Welcome. We all know that we have, we're being given tests that we had to study for that we had no idea. We have pop quizzes that have come our way that we're like, oh my, you know, and the universe is your classroom every day. We're here to learn. And all of these beautiful people that surround you, believe it or not, you have contracted them in. You have written them into your purpose here to help you. A soul contract is meant to transform your life. It is truly meant to transform your life. It's not easy, but that's why you're here. So I always say, listen, the other side is, first of all, just another realm of consciousness. That's all it is. Okay. So a lot of times our mental, linear, conscious mind, it's so hard for us to understand that here in this physical body. But your soul, on a soul level, your soul understands that on the other side, it's another realm of consciousness and there is only love. Now, I say we have love here in the physical world. Love here in the physical world, it's a feeling. It's a feeling. Love on the other side is this euphoric state of being all the time that sometimes we can't grasp here fully. I say people who have had a near-death experience, they will come back and explain to you how time is expansive and I just felt loved. Or I know for myself that there are maybe only 2 times in all of these years of meditating and doing this work that I just felt like my heart was going to come out of my chest and I was just overcome with love and I just started crying my eyes out, knowing that I was loved in that way. And I was just like, holy moly, I've never, and it's not anything that you can put into words. It's a feeling. It's this euphoric, peace-filled feeling. And so we come from a place of love. And when you're over there, you have this soul family. And I say, think of it like, for our purposes of Energy 101, think of your soul as like this white vibrating ball of energy. It's much more than that. It is deeper than that. But for Energy 101 today, that's how we'll think of it. Picture a tree branch on the other side. Replace all of the leaves with those beautiful white vibrating balls. Okay. That's your soul family. Those are the people that you come to Earth School with. Those are the people that you say, I want you to either be my teacher. I want to be your student. We're going to be one or both for each other. So we come here to the physical world with these soul contracts, and we come with a loose bunch of soul contracts. And what will, be probably saying, well, Debbie, what is a soul contract? Well, we come here to have soul experiences. So a soul contract is something that you decide that your soul needs to evolve and grow here in the physical world. And that might be, sometimes we come here with a soul contract in worthiness, independence, emotional strength, unconditional love. I mean, and the list goes on. And we experience all these different things. So this is where I'm also going to talk about, it gets in our Earth School. We have also, again, not on a conscious, linear, mental mind level, but on a soul level, we've had other lifetimes before this one. So what does that feel like? People here at Earth School feel very familiar to you. Or you say, oh my gosh, this person is like my girlfriend, but she feels like a blood sister to me. Because your soul, I like to say, listen, your soul has done this gig, your soul has done this Earth School gig, like you've been here like many times. So when you come back here again, you might say, okay, in a past life, maybe we were, in another lifetime, we were blood sisters, but in this lifetime, we're going to be girlfriends. Or, maybe you were mother-daughter in a different lifetime. And, your soul comes back. So your soul comes from a place of love. We come here to Earth School and it's hard and challenging and difficult because you go through your soul contracts to remember what it was like to be loved. It's like when you hear people saying they're having an awakening, because that's how I feel like what happened to me. I had an awakening. I feel like I had to remember where I came from. And I contracted, one of mine, I keep saying is worthiness because it shows up all the time for me. But so you you make this agreement on the other side with all of these people. So people say to me, Debbie, even these people that drive me crazy, I'm like, oh yeah, they're the people that are going to teach you on the deep
Especially those
level.
people. Yes.
Absolutely. They are going to trigger you the hardest. So I give this a couple of examples. So suppose you decide, I'm going to come here to Earth School and I'm going to make a soul contract in forgiveness. And I'm going to contract this person to come in and they are going to hurt me at the deepest level possible. I'm going to have this hurt like I've never hurt before. Well, now you got two choices, because I always say, listen, we have these beautiful gifts of choice and free will while we're here at Earth School. So you can choose to say, I'm going to learn this lesson. I'm going to find out what's unhealed in me, and I'm going to go forward and I choose to embrace this lesson, or I choose to not learn it. So if you choose to not learn it, what happens is, this is when people go, why do I keep meeting these people? Why do these people make my life miserable? And I'm like, because you contracted them in to help your soul evolve. Your soul comes here to evolve, and it comes to evolve through learning, growing, teaching, loving. Those four things, those four components help your soul to evolve. So you contract this person to come in to learn forgiveness. They hurt you at the deepest level possible. You have two choices, choice and free will. I choose to learn this lesson. I choose to find the deep root or the cause of what's going on, or it's them, it's not me, it's totally them, I'm fine. So I'm choosing not to learn the lesson. So guess what? The lesson keeps showing up with a different face and a different set of circumstances is what happens. And it might be a parent, then it might be people at work, then it might be in your social circle. It might be, I keep attracting the same sort of woman or man in my life because you have chosen not to deal with the unhealed parts of yourself or what you came here to learn. So spirit keeps saying, oh, it's going to keep coming up, keep coming up. Now, people will also say to me, this is the other thing I want to talk about, soul contracts. Just like you have your fingerprint is unique. We say every snowflake is unique. You do not compare your journey to anybody else's here because your soul is unique. Your soul has come here to learn different things. This is not a comparison journey of who has more baggage than anybody else. This is this is my baggage and I came here to work on my stuff. So, this is your soul is unique and you choose what you're going to come to work on. So people will say to me, well, Debbie, why does this, like a young child, come in and choose to say, let's just say, have like a very terminal illness? And I'll say, well, now again, we've had other lifetimes before this lifetime. So maybe in a past life, this child as an adult was too proud to accept help. Okay. I'm too proud to accept help. I can't accept unconditional love. That's not what I can do. So I choose now, I want that part of my soul to grow. I want to have that challenge. I'm going to come to Earth School. And this time I come back as a child who is trying to battle or maybe I have a developmental delay. Maybe I have some sort of rare form of childhood cancer. Now my soul is forced to learn unconditional love. My soul, I'm young. My soul has to accept help. I can't be proud. I'm too young to be proud right now. So I have to accept help from others. So this is where people, because I get that a lot. Like, well, people choose here, choose these very difficult things. I'm like, yes, they do. They really do. Even the bad people. Yes. Yes. Because whatever you don't finish here, you go back to the other side. And because there's only love there, you are in this euphoric state of being of, I'm now going to work on my stuff. And what happens also, I say to people as well, your loved ones are also watching you here at Earth School and they're rooting for you. But again, you have choice and free will. They can't tell you what to do, but here's how they show up in your life with your soul contracts. They can put in front of you people, places, situation, opportunity. You again have choice and free will. What am I going to do? I laugh. I go like this. I go, sometimes my grandmother's probably going, oh my God, again, Debbie, really? Are you doing it? And I'm like, yep, there's a girl with a round peg, running around, square hole, so it just, we have to be ready too. So when we evolve, I also say we have these two energy fields in our body. We've got the ego and we got the higher self. And when we start to merge or balance or come together and we start to go deeper with the soul contracts and learn them, this is where we achieve this balance or this aha moment where we're like, oh my gosh, you know what I'm supposed to learn? You know what this is about? Oh my goodness. So then we're ready to dive in deeper and go to the root cause of what's going on and heal ourselves. And then how do you know the lesson's learned? Here's the beauty of it all. You know the lesson is learned when that trigger comes and you respond differently, and it doesn't have power over you, and you feel at peace, and you're like, yes, like you just feel so much peace. Like I just got through like a big eye-opening soul contract for me. Like, and when I finally came to the realization of, you know, what was supposed to happen, because again, I was looking at it only one way. When I finally spirit through many different situations and journaling and working on myself and meditating and self-care, you know, I came to it. It was actually a gratitude exercise that really broke me down to my core, that made me realize why something was happening in my life. And I was like, whoa. And it's, I'll break out into Diana Ross about, you know, set me free, why don't you, babe? Like it just sets you free. You just are like, you know, I'm free to do what I want, you know, and you just feel so good. You know that you're evolving, and it's almost like if you can look at the bigger picture and understand why you're here, and you can almost detach from why you're here. It's almost like Lenny Kravitz, bring it on, like bring on the challenge. I know what's going on. I signed a paper, signed, sealed, delivered, I'm yours, right? I signed a paper on the other side that said, I came here to learn this, right? So I have a choice. Either I'm going to learn it or I'm going to take it back on the other side. I didn't finish. I know you're right. Okay. Spirit's talking to me. I started something. I didn't finish it. And I'm going to take it back on the other side and heal it. Now I started to say your loved ones, this is where I didn't finish. They always hold me accountable. I love it. You can, isn't that awesome? You can go back to the other side and you work on those whatever soul contracts you didn't work on, and you can choose to heal your soul by helping your loved ones here. Or you just go, we all know there's school on the other side that you work on there, or you choose to come back here again. We have all, you know, maybe you work on those soul contracts on the other side and I'm good and they're all done. And I'm going to come here because I want to have another new soul contract to transform my life. But, you know, I always say that I used to look at my life this way. Before I understood Earth School and my purpose here, I used to think these people just came into my life to make me miserable. I really did. I looked at my life as a victim. I was like, oh, poor me, why?
And that's what I honestly, when you were talking, because my father really grew up talking about victimization. And a lot of people, I believe the reason they can't take ownership of their soul contract is because, okay, so the ego cannot exist when your soul is at peace. The ego's only job is to stay alive and to stay in control of you. And the only way the ego can stay in control of you is to keep you in a position of not feeling whole, like you constantly want more. You want more. Oh, once you get the car, then you need the house. Once you get the house, then you need the plane. Once you get the plane, you need the yacht. Once you get the yacht, you want the spaceship. I mean, it never is going to end because the ego can only exist when you're in a state of want. That also being said, the ego keeps you in a state of victimization. So it's always someone else's fault. It's their fault. They did this to me. They did that to me. When you stay in that mindset that everybody else is responsible for everything that bad has ever happened to you, but the good things is because of you, right? But all the bad stuff is because of everybody else. Okay, let's get rid of that thinking, because that's victimization mentality. And as long as you stay in victimization mentality, you're never going to awaken. You're never going to become who you were meant to. You just can't. And so you have to start saying, look, it might have not been my conscious mind that attracted that horrendous thing to happen to me, but my subconscious energy contracted it because I have to learn something from it. And especially if that happens to you more than once, let me tell you, you have got a huge lesson to learn, because if you don't learn it the first time, the second time is going to be worse. The 10th time is going to be 10 times worse. So it only gets worse and worse and worse. It's literally like spirit hitting you over the head with a hammer. Like, did you get it this time? Nope. Okay, sledgehammer. Did you get it this time? Nope. Okay, are you really going to make me bring the axe now? Like, seriously, like you have got to wake up. And that's the other challenging thing is when we come into the new life, we're rebooted. So most of us remember nothing of the past life. Now, some of us like us, I kind of actually remembered my past life, and it actually tortured me until I got a soul retrieval. And so, but I didn't remember it enough to understand that that was the torture. But I knew, like, I was literally almost living in my past life body for the first half of this life. And it was very confusing and very challenging. And so all the things I was attracting was just like horrific things in the way that I died, and things that I had to work through and to become whole and to step back into my healer position, because that was my purpose and that's always been my purpose. But when you get thrown off, it's that. So literally, I love that you're talking about bringing the ego, because obviously to completely diminish the ego is almost impossible. I mean, even Buddhist monks, like, I'm literally in Thailand and he's like offering this girl, oh yeah, you give me some cigarettes and I'll do a free tattoo on you. So even in that aspect, I mean, we're still always evolving, but you really spoke to that. And I love how you were talking about the soul contract so clearly, that people really understand, like, you are the one that wrote it. Mm-hmm. And if you don't get it right in this time, it's okay. Don't get mad on yourself, but you'll have to work on it in heaven or whatever the other realm is you want to call. And then you don't get it there, you got to come back down and work on it again. And we get caught up in this karma. And that's how we talk, once you heal all that karma, then you come to a point where you don't actually have to reincarnate unless you are choosing to, because your karma's all been cleared out now.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So.
Yes. And I always say, speaking to that too, that victimization, I always say to people, listen, I looked at my life through the eyes of a victim for a long time, right? So I said, you have two lenses. You can look through life through these two, either through the victim, everything happens to you, or everything happens for you. So I have now started, now that I understand soul contracts, now that I understand these people that were in my life to help me speak my power, these people who were given to me, I'm worth it, help me to understand my worth. Like, so I got that now. So now I'm like, oh my God, these people are gifts. They're blessings in disguise. They're gifts. Like, thank you. Thank you for making me miserable. Thank you. Because I wouldn't be where I am today without that experience. I wouldn't be who I am. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing without having you people coming in, signed, sealed, delivered on the other side.
Right. Have you ever met a healer that had a sweet, smooth life? I don't know, Amy, Debbie, have you ever met another healer that had a smooth sailing life?
No. And the funny thing, you should say that, Dara, before I had this enlightenment, I will say, I used to think that healers had their shit together. Honestly,
that's almost what
I would be like, I go to them because they know what they're doing. Like, they got it all together. So really what I've learned is that we
just walked through the flame already. And we've been walking through the flame for a long time.
Yeah. And we heal ourselves through our work, and by doing that, we have the tools to empower others, which is such a beautiful thing.
Like, yes, because once we feel better, we're like, oh my God, if I can feel this much better, how many other people can I make feel this much better? If I was struggling so much, how many other people must be out there struggling also?
Yeah. And let me know how, let me help you, and let me, I'm going to help you detach from this part of your,
you have the tool
from another view, like, okay, so I'm going to detach from myself, and this is why I'm really here. And now, as I said, like Lenny Kravitz, bring it on, like bring it on. I know how to handle it. I know, I'm not saying it's easy. It's not easy, but now you have the know-how or the tools. It's kind of like YouTube, right? We got the know-how.
Exactly. We learn all the how to, and Dara loves to say, it's like spirituality for dummies is figuring all this stuff out. And it's also, a lot of people you may hear about, like, scarcity versus abundance. And when we are in that victim role, the only way we know how to get up is by grabbing at what's around us. And we're just in the scarce mindset. I need it. But when you finally get to that calm and ego is removed, as we've all been speaking on, that's when you're in abundance, because you see there's enough for everyone at the table. There is enough for everyone to have everything you want. And that's what consciousness is not tuning into the human needs, but instead tuning into that love and tuning into that one frequency where everything is for you. There is enough, and you can have anything that you can dream up, because we do have the spiritual team, and we do have our past loved ones rooting for us, and we do have our guides. You know, they're all on the other side instrumentally saying, listen, this is what you wrote out, and this is what you can get if you allow it. And if you are open to mastering those lessons, and they are really hard. And I love that you also said, like, you know, we go to the other side and it's filled with love, and our progress and our work is easy and fulfilling. On this side, honey, the work is hard. It is dark. You're given these people that you have to work through in order to work through yourself. So how, Debbie, did all of this help you to love yourself?
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that I didn't love myself until I had this transformation. I thought I loved myself. Honestly, I'm like, I don't understand why all these things happen to me. I love myself. I didn't. That was the big eye opener for me. I didn't love myself. I was allowing all of these things to keep coming in, and I didn't understand on a deeper level that I needed to, Whitney Houston, learning to love yourself is the greatest gift of all. And it was through these series of baby steps of all of these lessons that it took me the first half of my life to understand. So I'm 50 now. So it took me from like now to 50, literally first half of my life and now I feel like I got it. Now I got it all figured out. So if I want to teach, I feel like, so now I want to teach everybody else about your self-love journey. Like, this is what it's about. Because for that first half of my life, like I said, I felt like I was a victim. I didn't get it. I was evolving slowly, like everything in my life, but that's my soul contract here. I want to teach people that soul contracts transform your life. They're about self-love. They're about self-healing. They're about, you don't have to have these people, you don't have to look at these people as just giving you a hard time. They're beautiful gifts. They're beautiful gifts. When you are open to doing the deep work and going to the root of why they're in your life. So this whole, between my mediumship, my breakdown, all of it, it just all opened up this journey of self-love, and that I am worthy. And that, you know, once I did put myself first and love myself, so many other doors opened for me. It was crazy. It was just my higher self, the ego was now with the higher self. And I was like, oh my gosh, you know what? You are worthy. You're worthy of love. You're worthy of good things. You're worthy of abundance. And so a lot of the things that helped me on my self-love journey, affirmations, oh my gosh, like just looking in the mirror and saying, I love you. Okay. That's the hardest thing in the world. It's easy to look at somebody else and say it, but to look at yourself and say it, that was hard. I'm like, oh, you know, or to look in the mirror and go, I am enough. I can do it now. I can do it with conviction now, but but it's a hard thing. But once it was like a combination of like, the spiritual enlightenment and understanding why I'm here, why these people are here, the role they played in my life. And it all just kind of came together with this. I was like, oh my God, this Earth School thing, it's a journey of self-love, and it's a journey of healing. This evolving of your soul is about self-love and self-healing. That's really what it's about. The soul contract to transform your life is about self-love. It's about self-healing. I didn't understand that. Now that I like put all those pieces together, I'm like, everybody needs to know this information.
Right.
Well, and I literally had a vision of you, Debbie, sitting over a pond. And I know this is like a very old proverb, but basically a clouded mind can't see clearly. So when you're looking at a lake, if the lake is all like if you're and trying to just survive and everything, the water's turned up, it's so murky, it's so muddy, like you literally cannot even see anything clear. But if you just breathe and silence the mind and connect, then when you silence the water and the water's still, you can actually see your reflection crystal clear. And 5 minutes ago, you couldn't see anything. So that's literally how the mind is. And and I saw a vision of you just getting super clear. It was like you were doing this, like this, and just like trying to figure it out. But when you're trying to figure it out, you're doing too much.
You
And
said
even
my
Amy,
word.
you were talking about that, and you
Dara,
just have to.
You said my word, Dara. You hit the nail on the head. I'll validate you 100%. When you said surviving, that's what I was doing. That's exactly. And that treading water, that like dead on, no pun intended, but.
But yeah, you were living two lives. As you said, you were a teacher, you were a medium, you were a teacher, you were a medium, and finally you got clear. And then you realized,
And she said and meditation too. Remember, she said meditation really helped her.
Oh.
For real. Yes.
But that's my word. I keep saying I went from my self-love journey was about from surviving to thriving. I didn't realize how bad I was really just freaking surviving every day. I didn't like the treading water thing. Like when you just said that, so I was like, oh my God, there it is. They're making me hear it again, because I always say the message from spirit is always loving and repeating. And so, yeah, and they do make it, like you said, really bad. When you don't listen, it just becomes more intense. It becomes more challenging, but thank you for that. I appreciate that so much. I was like, oh, this is my buzzword.
Oh my God. See, you're just so like, I'm so in tune with this woman. She's so amazing. I mean, I'm sure you all can like feel it, but Debbie, you literally are just such a beautiful light, such a radiant, glowing being. I am so grateful to know you and to be connected with you, just because I also have this theory that I believe that, and I've said it to the girls before, but like kind of like back in the day, there were the superpowered action figures and all of these like He-Man and She-Ra. Basically, the Transformers, they would come together. Each one was strong. They could fight on their own. But when these Transformers came together, they built something so much bigger than any of them could have achieved on their own. And that's the other really important aspect of this, is the tribe. And so as you're awakening, as you're growing your intuition, things are going to feel real scary. When you're owning your stuff and you're not victimizing your stuff anymore, you're going to feel weird from everyone else around you that's still victimizing themselves. So you're going to start feeling like an alien, and you're not going to understand what end is up and what end is down. And you're going to be looking for the bubbles, but the bubbles are going every direction. So really, the one thing that really is important for myself, for Debbie, for Amy, we all needed to find that spiritual tribe of other people that were in that energy that made us feel like, no, you're not an alien, you're just spiritual, you're just psychic. And like I literally even had she was a shaman who I was working under, Linda Starr Wolf, and she actually was quoted. She said basically she had been in the medical field as a psychologist for a very long time, and instead of just psychoanalyzing all of these crazy people, she actually did something revolutionary and listened to them. And she actually wrote down their crazy people's notes, and she realized all the crazy people's were actually going to the same places. So there were actually a lot of similarities in all of their notes. And so she started putting things together. And as going into her shamanism and really into her spirituality, she realized these people aren't crazy, they're just psychic, and they don't understand it. And society doesn't understand it. No one knows how to deal with it. So we need the tribe to help us feel safe and to help us grow and learn what these abilities are. So if you are in that stage of awakening, really reach out to any of us or whoever you feel drawn to as a mentor, because mentors really do help you when you're going through this awakening, so that you don't want to slit your wrist, because it can be very overwhelming, very scary, very it's something you've never experienced before, and people don't really talk about it, which of course again is why we're doing the show, is to normalize these things so you don't feel as scared and as lost as a lot of us did when we were going through these crazy shifts.
It's lonely.
Yes.
It's very
and
lonely. It's a lonely place.
It is.
It's very lonely. Yeah.
It's and we're so glad to be able to awaken the collective consciousness and bring you people like our sweet Debbie into your existence and into your experience.
Girl, she is the girl next door. You can have a glass with her. She's totally normal. She's not freaky. She's not sitting there flying up broomsticks or anything. The girl next door. but also can speak to your past loved ones that can help you to, direct your life. So
Yes.
you can be both. You can still go out and dance. She has like the best body in the world. Like she keeps it together. Fitness,
Got it all. That's it.
got it
for
all.
real, for real.
Yeah, high vibration going.
And she's
That's
single right
it.
now, fellas. So look at her. I gotta throw it out there because
She's got it all. She's got it all. Our
The-
Debbie, come
yeah,
on.
the spiritual psychic man, he's just getting himself ready because she vibrates on such a high frequency.
He's gotta find her.
needs a partner that can vibrate on her frequency. So
I do. And that's the truth. That's the truth. That's part of my worthiness here. Absolutely.
See?
That's so true.
So
So-
Debbie, thank you so much. We are so happy to have you. And I'd love for you to stay a little bit longer for our journaling.
Absolutely.
So Dara and I every week help people to do a little soul work, which I know you will appreciate. And today what I want you to think about and sit with is to discover your dominant psychic style. So as we've all talked about, it ebbs and flows. We have different things that we tune into. But how you can kind of do it is start just by sitting in a comfortable space where you won't be distracted, a quiet and calm little corner that you might already have in your house, and scan the area around you and take in all the details and the feelings that you may be picking up on of where you are. Then I want you to close your eyes and just focus on your breath, just like you would be getting ready for a meditation. And I want you to breathe deeply and slowly as you mentally review and scan the room. Now, what was it that stood out? Was it a sight? Was it a little light? Was it a little bit of energy? Did you kind of hear something? Did you just get like a feeling of something registering in your stomach or your heart? Or was it like all of a sudden you're tuned into like the smell of something or the taste of something? Regardless of what it was, then I want you to write about it. I want you to utilize the gift that angels, spirit guides have given all of us, and it's to tap in through automatic writing. So I want you to ask your higher consciousness, what is my soul contract? And what is my soul meant to learn in this life? As Debbie said, as Dara has, as we've all spoken to, you are here for a reason. Nothing is happening by mistake. So let's go deeper and let's figure out what is your purpose. Then I want you to think about what makes you feel loved and what can you do and how can you give yourself more self-love daily. It may be as simple as going on a walk. It may be as simple as calling a friend. It may be taking an Epsom salt bath. It may be taking time to go get your nails done. It may be time to sit in quiet. It may be a million different things to you, but what is it? Identify that, because the more you do that, the more you're going to attract the same energies of making you feel good, right? And as we've all spoken to, you cannot live in a victim mentality. You need to break free of that barrier and instead give yourself so much love. Love yourself like you would love a child, like you would love your mother, like you would love your best friend. Enable yourself to feel that same energy that you give to everyone else. So I just want to thank you, Debbie, so much for being here. Please let people know where they can find you.
Okay, well, first, thank you, ladies. This has been amazing. I love to speak about my passion. Just, you could have any guest you want on, and I am just so appreciative, and I'm so grateful that you would have me on to speak about Earth School. And
it's a blessing for us.
One last thing I want to mention about soul contracts. Look at repeating patterns in your life. Soul contract for you. Look at
Yes.
what sort of things Amy, when you talked about the journal, that immediately came into my mind. So just look at what repeating patterns come into your life, because that's a soul contract for you. What kinds of
love that.
people or situations. But oh my God, this has been wonderful, ladies. Thank you.
Thank
You can find me at, I love my social media. I love to interact with people. That's how I find these beautiful girls,
Yeah.
as we said to you. So I am on Instagram as Debbie Squizzero Medium. I'm also on Facebook as Debbie Squizzero Psychic Medium. You can find me on my website, debbiesquizzero.com, or here's an easier one for you because my Italian last name is so long. You can also find me, my website as singingmedium.com, because Spirit gives me a lot of songs to channel as messages, which I love. So you can find me at singingmedium.com. And I'm so excited to announce that I just started a YouTube channel where I answer lots of questions that my clients have had for me over the years. And so, like, what happens when we die, and soul contracts and all that kind of good stuff. So I also have a YouTube channel. I would love it if you would stop over, subscribe. I would love to have you as part of-
Like, share, all of that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Congratulations, Debbie. That's amazing. Good for you.
Oh my gosh, thank you. And thank you, ladies. Oh my gosh, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. So much gratitude.
Oh, right
Thank you,
back
Debbie.
at
You're
you,
so
Deb.
amazing. Oh my God.
We
So-
just love and adore you. We're so happy to have you and found you.
Oh.
And where can we find our Dara? Dara, tell them.
You can find me on IG or Facebook at Dara Jewett, DARAJEWETT. My website is on there, and please go ahead and also subscribe to Facebook and YouTube, The Soul Tribes. It's TheSoulTribes. So it's tribes, the soul tribe. So we're on Facebook, we're on IG, we're on YouTube, Spotify, Google Play, iTunes. We have the soultribes.com website, so you can connect with us in all of those venues. And Amy, how can they get a hold of you, my love?
You can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Amy Dascola Medium, or you can find me at amydascola.com. And we would just like to thank you for helping to normalize spirituality and create this beautiful conscious community of all the members of our soul tribes. And we are just spreading so much love and light to you guys. Please, please continue to like, subscribe, and find us everywhere a podcast would be. So again, thank you, Deb. It was so nice having you.
Thank you.
And
Love you.
we hope everyone has a wonderful, wonderful week. Okay, take care.